Hi, my name is Brian Fickert. I'm a professor of economics and community development here at Covenant College. It's a gorgeous day here on top of Lookout Mountain. It's hard to believe that the world is in the midst of this entire coronavirus because it's so gorgeous up here today. You know, I almost didn't end up at Covenant College. I attended a small Christian college that was similar in size and perspective to Covenant College. And when I graduated from there, my professor said that they hoped that I would come back and teach there someday. And you know, I said to them, look, I'm not sure what God is calling me to do, but there's one thing I'm sure of. I will never, ever teach at a small Christian college. And the truth of the matter is, I wanted to fish on a bigger pond. I wanted to play in the big leagues, and teaching at a small Christian college felt like kind of a small pond to me. And so in God's grace, I was able to go off and get a PhD. And when I was finishing graduate school, Covenant College contacted me and said, would you want to teach here? And I said, no, I don't want to teach here. And so I took a job at the University of Maryland. And I loved it there. There were about 45,000 students there. I had a massive computer on my desk that could have launched a nuclear arsenal. I had a great salary. I was publishing articles in leading academic journals. And you know, Washington, D.C. is a great place to be an economist. I was just outside of Washington, D.C., and the World Bank is there, the International Monetary Fund is there, the White House is there. I could have been at the White House in 20 minutes if they'd ever called. They never actually called, but I could have been there. And so everything was good. And so why would I leave this really prestigious university to come to a pretty small place on top of a mountain in Georgia? Well, there's a lot of reasons that went into that. God's plan was unfolding in my life. But one of the key reasons that I decided to leave the University of Maryland to come to Covenant College is one of the same reasons that you should consider coming here. Now, I just want to unpack this for you a little bit. This is an economics textbook. It's one that's used in introductory courses. And in order to explain why I'm here, I need to read to you the description of this textbook about what the field of economics is all about. And so it says this: economics is concerned with the efficient use or management of limited productive resources to achieve maximum satisfaction of human material wants. I'll read it again. Economics is concerned with the efficient use or management of limited productive resources to achieve maximum satisfaction of human material wants. So that's the definition of my field. And if I turn the page, I get to a section called methodology. And this is what I'm about to share with you is standard across every textbook in my field. And the methodology that economists use goes as follows. Economists claim that there's two kinds of statements: positive statements and normative statements. And positive statements, says the economist, are statements that are statements of fact, things that are incontrovertibly true, that everybody can agree on, whether they're a Muslim, a Hindu, a Christian, an atheist, an agnostic. There are some things that are simply true. Normative statements are statements that involve religious convictions, that involve moral judgments, things that explain how things should be or ought to be. And economists claim that they never make any normative statements. They only engage in positives. So let me give an example again. A positive statement is a statement of fact, a thing that everybody can agree on. The sky is very blue. My shirt is also very blue. Dr. Fickert is very good looking. Things that are incontrovertibly true that everybody can agree on. Normative statements are things like this: things about what should be or what ought to be. Things like all students should study hard. Everybody should root for the Green Bay Packers. Whenever the word should shows up, it's a normative statement. Like I said, economists claim that they only make positive statements, not normative statements. We simply describe the way things really are. And the truth is, if that were true, there wouldn't be a lot of reason for Covenant College. But let me show you something. This is another textbook in my field. It's a more advanced textbook. It's used by juniors and seniors. It's a textbook on international economics. And what I started to notice is that economists actually make normative statements all the time. So this is the introduction to one of the chapters. It says this: what should a nation's trade policy be? Should the United States use a tariff or a quota to protect its auto industry from Japan and South Korea? What should the United States do? And so that should question, that normative question, is coming up all the time. In fact, it's true throughout my discipline. We're actually always giving normative statements. Now, when one gives a normative statement, one is actually appealing to some ethical standard, some notion of right and wrong. And this is what makes my discipline so dangerous. You see, on the one hand, we're saying we have no ethical standards, we have no normativity. On the other hand, we actually do have a set of ethical standards. We do have a sense of right and wrong that's implicit, that's embedded in the discipline, and it kind of sneaks up on you. And that's why my field, while I love economics, I do think it's actually a very dangerous discipline because it actually informs and even disciples students in a particular worldview, a particular understanding of what's good and what's bad. Now, what is the ethical standard? Well, I'd have to unpack my field a little bit for you in ways that I can't on this short presentation, but it actually goes back to the definition of the field. Remember I said earlier, economics is about the efficient use or management of limited productive resources to achieve maximum satisfaction of human material wants. The goal is to satisfy human material wants. And so things that do that are good, and things that don't do that are bad. Well, I'm a Presbyterian pastor's kid, and so every night at dinner was the dreaded catechism ritual. My father would pull out the shorter catechism, and I would mutter under my breath, it's not short enough, and he would read me the first question. And dessert was contingent upon my performance, and so I had to get the answer right. And the first question was this: what is man's chief end? What is the chief purpose for humanity? And I got to tell you, if I'd said, Daddy, the chief purpose of humanity is to satisfy our own personal material wants, there wouldn't have been 2 scoops of ice cream for dessert that night. You see, I was taught that man's chief end was to glorify God and to enjoy him forever, that fundamentally life and creation isn't about me, it's about God Almighty. And so I started to realize as I pondered this that actually Covenant College was the big leagues. It is the big leagues. It is the biggest pond because Covenant College is asking the only question that really matters, and that's this: if Jesus Christ is indeed King of Kings and Lord of Lords, how should we then live lives of offering and worship to him? How do we do economics and business and art and history and sociology? How do we do all of these things to bring glory and honor to Jesus Christ? These are tough days. These are really tough days. These are the kind of days where I need to know that I'm not alone. I need to know there's somebody in charge of this whole thing. These are scary times. Covenant College motto is, in all things Christ preeminent. It's based on Colossians chapter 1. If you read the rest of Colossians chapter 1, it teaches the following: that Jesus Christ is the creator, sustainer, and reconciler of all things. He's not some detached God. He's actively present in his world. He makes the sun go up every morning and set every evening. He has the hair on our heads numbered. He holds the atoms in place. He's not far removed. He's present. He's connected, and he's here. All things were created through him. All things are sustained by him, and all things are being reconciled through him. And so as the coronavirus wreaks havoc on the planet, and as it wreaks havoc in our lives, we can have a firm foundation that Jesus Christ is indeed King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And we are united to him. He's present, he's here, he's connected to us. And he's the foundation upon which the entire creation rests. And he's the foundation on which real education rests. That's what Covenant College is all about. They say that if you flip burgers at McDonald's, you'll never want to eat there again because you've seen how the hamburgers are made. Well, I've got 3 children. All 3 of my kids have gone to Covenant College. I've been teaching here for 23 years, and I've got to tell you, I've seen how Covenant College serves up academic burgers, so to speak. And I've got to tell you, they still taste pretty good to me. There's no place quite like this one. I hope that you'll be able to check it out and that you'll be able to press into the good news of who Jesus Christ is in all of his fullness and all the wonder that brings to all of creation and to our individual lives. I hope we'll see you at Covenant College in the fall.